Ciao friends, I'm Shelley from Shelley Skincare, and today I'm going to be bringing on one of my favorite clients and guests. His name is Dave Conley. Hey, how's it going, Dave?
Hey, how are you?
Thank you so much for joining me. So today we were going to talk about how to reboot after a crisis, since we are in the middle of a crisis.
Right.
Hopefully it'll be over soon, but I don't know. So Dave is an author and a speaker and also a life coach. And he's one of my clients. And as you all know, I've been doing these live Instagrams because I miss my clients. It's like seeing my family, and I just want to hug everybody and like reach out and say hi. And so I figured the best way is to bring my clients into my home and share the love with all of you. So feel free, once you have heard what he's all about, feel free to ask us questions. And anyway, Dave, why don't you tell them about what you do?
Well, first, happy anniversary.
Oh, thank you. It's my 5-year wedding anniversary.
Congratulations.
Thanks. We've been together 21 years. We were just taking a minute before we got married.
Well, I started my career in technology and probably helping a lot of people on the internet for the first time. I worked at AOL back in the 90s. And over the years, I've had a lot of different hats, and I'm really excited about what I'm doing now as a speaker and an author. In particular, I talk about crisis, and in particular, I talk about it in the nature of midlife crisis. As somebody is currently in his 40s, I was really interested in this time where we really look at it as often the worst time in our lives, not the very best time of our lives. And I was having a very different experience. And so as I was talking with people and as I was working with people and as I was coaching people, I found that this time of crisis actually is a time of also great opportunity. It's an amazing time of change. And if you feel like it's thrown at you and you don't know what to do, yeah, you're in crisis. Of course you're going to be in crisis. If everything changes and you feel like you have no control over anything, yeah, you're going to be in crisis. I believe that there is a different way. And now that we're all in crisis, there are things that we can do today in order to reboot and realign around all of these changes that are happening in our lives.
Well, how do you define a crisis?
Great question. A crisis is when you lose a sense of control or agency. So like a midlife crisis is actually pretty clear. It's when your internal side, like your body changes, it doesn't act like it used to, you might be putting on some weight where you didn't used to before, you have a glass of wine and you don't bounce back up. All of those internal changes happen. At the same time, external things are happening to you. Often what happens is that your career gets topped out. You're not going to let go any further. Your kids get more independent. They might, move out or just be more independent. To the point, most of the time in relationships where you really have to figure out whether or not you're going to re-up for this for the rest of your life, or are you going to make changes? And so when all of that stuff starts to happen, it tends to pretty much concentrate right around the ages of 39 to about 50. In our lives. And this is the time in our lives where these changes seemingly happen uncontrollably for the first time in our lives since puberty. That's the only other time in our lives where things seem like, oh my God, things are crazy. It turns out it's in our lives, it's puberty and it's about your 40s. These are the two huge shifts in your life. That's what excites me about this quote unquote crisis. The midlife crisis is the time of boob jobs and nose jobs, all of the incredible mockery we make of it. And man, this
every time I see a red Ferrari, I think,
midlife crisis.
Poor guy.
Right. But I know that that's the energy, this midlife crisis, and the energy of crisis. To get back control of it means that you have the agency, you have the ability, everything that you need in order to make the changes necessary in the rest of your life. You want to have the positive changes. Don't be a victim in this. Use this as an opportunity.
Now that's about age. What do we do about the crisis that we're all experiencing right now with quarantining and then seeing the people who aren't quarantining? I'm not passing any judgment, but it's people who are and aren't, that's kind of a crisis to me. And then people not working and then people dying. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on right now, and there's many crises I see. What do we do?
Well, I think that's the key question, because the reality of it is that there isn't a lot to do, right? And as soon as you sort of release that illusion of control in a lot of this and just not hold on to it so damn tight, life gets a little bit easier. So in the reality of this crisis, depending on where you are, what's going on, what's happening, the things that you can actually control is staying the hell home, wearing a mask, only going out for essential things. That's about all that you can control. Now, many people have been going through a lot of hardship, and they may have lost their job, they may have lost a relative, they may have lost somebody close to themselves. Everything that they thought was stable has changed and shifted out from underneath. But what are the things that you can actually control? Nobody's going to control a virus, right? All I've really learned is don't eat a bat. You know, like whatever you do, don't eat a bat. Right? The only thing that I can control really is how well I'm taking care of myself, my mental, my mind, my body, my heart, and my spirit. And it turns out that that translates into a lot of different areas, right? When I don't pay attention to those practices, it really draws from my well. And there's only so much that I can draw on that well before I realize, holy crap, you know what? My well is dry and I'm going to lose my nut. Like having that opportunity to just pause and reflect and see as to what you can actually control in this area is really only what you have agency is, and it's really only what has to do with you and you personally. So when it gets down to it, there isn't a whole lot. You can control what you do, what you physically do. Basic practices of sleeping well, eating well, exercise, and having some basic mindfulness practices. These are the things that actually can get you through just about anything. It can get you through a midlife crisis, it can get you through coronavirus, it can get you through all of those things, because first taking care of yourself, having that oxygen mask on first, before you help anybody else, is the one thing that you can actually do.
This is so true. In fact, somebody just popped up. Her name is Irene, and I had a chat with her about a week or two ago. And I have been following her exercise. Like, she started a challenge, a 30-day challenge, and I think we're on day 9 right now. I've been really focused on my exercise. I feel like that's really helped my sleep. I mean, I've definitely increased my alcohol intake. So I really need to burn those calories. But yeah, I feel like taking care of yourself first is really, really important, and figuring out, like, I think for a lot of people, I mean, I'm definitely like older, right? I kind of know who I am, but I feel like if I was in my 20s and this was happening, I don't know what I would be doing. Even in my 30s, I don't know how I would be responding, especially if I didn't have a life partner or somebody. You know, I definitely don't mind being alone, but if I was living alone and I was younger, like, that's a huge thing. You don't respond well to that sometimes. What do you think about that?
It all gets down back to the basics. So like when your sleep is off, you're not making any particularly good judgment. So like unscrew your sleep. And there's like a lot of things that you can do in order to do that. And then eating well. You know, that's often one of the biggest challenges. Like the amount of banana bread that I have both baked and eaten is off the chart. But I can only do that for so long before it's like it starts affecting other parts of my life and actually getting in the way of the things that I want to be doing. Exercise, you know, I loved my gym. It was a social place. It was a fun place. It was a place where I could lift heavy things and get really into my body. When those all shut down, I really struggled for weeks and weeks and weeks as to how I was going to actually do what I wanted to do. I don't just particularly do well in classes. I'm not particularly just motivated to like pull up an app and start doing something. And it took me months in order to really figure out how I can really get the exercise that I want to do. And having a really strong mindfulness practice really clears the cobwebs. If one of those things is sort of off, it's going to be taking away from one of the other areas, and it's going to junk up the rest of your life. I'm not going to say that I'm not lonely. I'm not going to say that I'm not feeling isolated, or I don't like act out sort of emotionally in this time. But I will say that I'm pretty damn strong, and when it gets down to it, if I'm presented with a problem and there's something going on with my sleep or going on with my eating or my exercise or my mindfulness practice, if there's no well there, then I'm not there in a creative spot to really fix what I wanted to do. I have my sleep, my exercise, my eating, all of it has been off for weeks and weeks and weeks as I've sort of like worked out what was going on. And it wasn't until I really started getting back to my basic practices where I was like, oh my God, I can totally fix my exercise stuff. And it took me, $200, a couple of orders from Amazon, and I was set. And I was so excited, and I'm like, and it's been working for me. It's just like worked.
What did you get?
Oh my God. So I ended up making an adjustable kettlebell.
Okay. Really?
So
that's cool.
Weights and things aren't really available, and I don't have like this huge estate in order to put in my own gym. I made a kettlebell. I was able to get plates, and I got flooring, and that's all I needed in order to do everything that I needed to do. It was just rock star. And like, I've been so excited, so happy to just wake up and just get some exercise in. What a mood booster.
Yeah.
And what do you do? I mean, like, I know you were big into classes back in the day when we had classes.
I know, right? Yeah, I loved my gym. I was really, really sad to let it go. But as soon as it happened, I've known Irene for a long time. So I just started jumping into her YouTube. Like, she started doing it every day. So that was really helpful because it used to be a little more periodic. But then she started doing it every day. Then I jumped onto a yoga. So I started a book club on Marco Polo. It's this crazy app. You see each other's face, kind of like now, but you can't talk directly to the person. So I started this book club so that we could like do a journaling exercise. And I introduced people who didn't know each other. Okay. And they all love each other. And I love them. They were my friends. And now they're like joined together. We talk every day now, and we do this journaling exercise, and we say what we learned from it. And one of the girls said, oh, I'm doing this yoga practice every Wednesday morning. I'm starting this new thing, yoga place that I've actually been to in New York. I was like, oh, I want to do that. Yeah. So now every Wednesday morning we get together on Zoom and we do this really cool yoga class. Because of Irene's classes, got a whole like stretchy band thing. Like I have a whole kit of those. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I need the lightweights. Oh no, I need the heavyweights. And then I also bought the dumbbells. So I've got that, and I've got a yoga mat, and my floor is already floor. Like it's not carpet. Yeah. So that's what I'm doing to take care of myself physically. And then eating wise, I had taken a cooking class, luckily, a few years ago. So that's really helped me. And then of course, YouTube videos have helped. Oh, and that brings me to my YouTube videos. So because I have had all this time, I started getting back into my old kind of mindset of doing videos. And so many people were asking like, oh, how do you wax your legs? What do I do right now? And so I started a whole DIY series on how do you wax your legs? What do you need to do? Should you do it or not do it? So I've got a YouTube channel dedicated to that. It's been fun. I'm keeping myself busy. But I have a question. The first few days of the self-quarantining thing, I thought it was like a snow day. I had all this time. I was like, woohoo, I don't have to go to work, la la la. Yeah. And then all the funny stuff started happening. Like I got texts, I had WhatsApp messages, like funny stuff was coming out. Like the best funny song, the hand washing videos. And then through the weeks and months now, I've noticed that the funny stuff is going away and people are getting more into something else. I don't know what that is. Do you have any thoughts on that?
This isn't our first pandemic as far as like human goes, right? Like if you look at the long history of human, we've had lots of pandemics. We absolutely know that happens is that when human beings are stressed, like on a global level, when times are weirdest and hardest and toughest, is that amazing stuff happens afterwards. We're living through some weird times. Like this is weird and it's tough. I'm not going to pretend that this is easy for anyone. And like seeing all of the photos and videos of people just like having their normal Memorial Day week, it was like a little terrifying. Like holy smokes, the virus didn't magically go away because summer's here, right? That's worrisome. I know that we'll absolutely get through this because we've always gotten through it. This isn't like the end of the world. And yet every single time something magical has happened because humans are amazing. absolutely amazing. After the Black Plague, we had the Renaissance and all of the beauty that came out of that. And that just ushered in like this amazing period that brought us things like the foundations of democracy, the art that we still look at today, and all of the different aspects of Western thinking that has really just been the foundation of so many amazing things. The 1918 pandemic, we had the roaring 20s after that. And then we had this huge war. Yeah, no, humans were stressed by that too. You know, that was a world war. Yet that brought us the space age, and that brought us to the moon and all of the amazing things that happened from that. We have Velcro shoes. I had Velcro shoes as a kid because of World War II. I'll say that the pandemic of 1918 gave me Velcro shoes. I'm pretty happy.
Are you talking about the high top Reeboks?
Yeah.
I had those. Those were hot. Those were hot, I have to say.
So, I mean, there's like a lot of optimism in my mind. It's like, yeah, you know, we might be in the thick of it, but when we look at it through the lens of just like the next pandemic, because maybe we won't, but certainly future generations will have a pandemic, and everything that we learn today is going to make it so much easier on them. You know, think about like the AIDS crisis in the 1980s that you and I just sort of absorbed as young kids, but all of that work went into how fast and how quickly that all of the science is moving so now to get us treatments, vaccines, just the thinking around like, what the hell is this? That started in the 80s. That's amazing, right? So like if we had COVID 2022, you know, 2025, God forbid, we're going to be able to respond to it. We'll know what to do. It'll be like rocket, right? Like, because we've done this. We're humans, right? And great things are going to come out of this. I don't think we can predict it right now. Like I was talking to a friend of mine, Pat. I was like, man, you know, it's going to be really great. Everybody's worked from home so much. What's going to happen is that all of this office space in downtown San Francisco is going to be like cleaned out, and we're going to have all this great, affordable, mixed-use housing in downtown. And he goes, God, I hope not. And I go, what? Tell me about that. And he goes, what? I like going to an office. And I'm like, huh. You know what? You're right. I was an independent contractor for 11 years. I worked from home. It's kind of lonely. As much as we are productive from home in jobs that can be done that way, the reality of it is that people want to go. We are social animals. And that's probably the most optimistic thing I could ever say about this pandemic is that we are born to dance. Like we have to dance. Like we have danced for millennia and we will dance again.
That's actually one of the first things I want to do is go dancing.
Right?
I want to repeat one of my birthday parties.
Exactly. We're dancing animals. That's what we are. We're dancing monkeys. Literally. As much as I get weirded out by it, I'm actually pretty optimistic. I'm not excited about seeing people just throwing open the doors and doing their own willy-nilly stuff and the craziness that I saw on Memorial Day. I'm not going to point my finger in shame on that, but when it gets down to it, you know, this is life or death for a lot of people. It's like hundreds of planes have dropped out of the sky every single day. 100,000 people in 3 months? That's insane, boss. That's crazy, right?
And that's just here.
Right?
Yeah.
You know, so like, come on, put on a fucking mask, chill out. Things will be cool. Just cool your jets for a little bit. You don't have to have your Corona beer in a hot tub surrounded by you and your friends. Just chillax.
Chillax. Oh my God. Well,
so, I'm super optimistic.
I'm glad.
You know, like it's not going to come without some pain and some problems and hardships and a lot of things that it's already come with. It may get a little bit worse before it gets better, but I know that awesome stuff's going to happen out of this. We see it every single time. We see it over the course of human history, over and over again. It's exciting.
It's exciting. I mean, I don't want to be a Debbie Downer. I am concerned about the amount of lost lives. Do you have any advice, suggestions for people that might watch this that are dealing with the loss of a loved one? I mean, what do you do for that?
Yeah, that's sort of like the big ticket item. I know you know the story is that, you know, like I started my journey into health and wellness after the unexpected loss of my wife when I was 39. I've been married for 13 years and had a really great relationship. After her death, I was just in this space of complete bereavement, complete loss, complete destruction of my life. I was out on the floor, not going anywhere. Like, my relatives were really wondering whether or not they should institutionalize me. What was going to happen here, because I was so brokenhearted. Here's the thing about bereavement and grief is that, one, you're supposed to experience it. It's a basic biological response that says, help me. I mean, it really is something that said back millennia ago, I'm in trouble, I need help. And that's a magical thing. That is your own body and own mind and your own being saying, hi, I'm here, I need help. Amazing. It's your own personal flare system.
Right.
Now, what do you do with that energy? I mean, it's the same crisis energy that you have in midlife. It's the same crisis energy of COVID. It's that energy of change. This period of bereavement really blotted out that intense feelings, blotted out my basic needs. How do we get beyond that? Make small, deliberate changes, small changes. What I struggled with most, I wasn't sleeping, I wasn't eating, I wasn't really moving all that much. What I knew, the one thing that I could control, the one thing that I could do was have some water. So I'll have a little bit of wine right now. Is have some water. And so, like, day after day after day, all I did was like drink some water. I had one of those Nalgene bottles. I don't have it with me, but like one of those Nalgene bottles that you could actually see through, and it was a liter, right? I'm like, man, I'm gonna win the day if I just drink that liter of water. Here's the coolest thing about being human is that we can totally beat ourselves up for not doing something that we were supposed to do or that we thought we should do. Beat ourselves up for something that happened in the past that we cannot change, or stress ourselves out about a future that we can't even predict. I don't know about you. I don't even know what I'm going to have for lunch tomorrow. I'm not sure what I'm going to have for dinner. You do, but I don't, right? Like, I can't, like, my ability to predict the future, pretty low, right? Other than these broad generalities, like the sun will probably come up tomorrow. The small things make big differences. So for me, it was drinking water every day, and I would like win the day. Right? Like, I wasn't saying, oh man, I'm not sleeping, I'm not eating, I'm not exercising, I'm not doing all this stuff, and beat myself up, because our most powerful weapon against us is ourselves.
This is when you were grieving.
Yeah.
Okay. I ate chocolate when I was grieving, so you did a lot better than me.
Well,
I was eating
really,
chocolate
you're
truffles.
Chocolate sounds amazing. I'm going to say chocolate sounds amazing.
I think water's a little healthier.
So, during this time, what it is really is about the one thing that you could do in order to actually have a little agency, a little bit of control, and a little bit of say, hey, I've got this. So maybe it's something that you're going to feel good about. For me, it was just like drinking a little bit of water. We've already talked about some of the basics here, like sleeping, eating, exercise, and having a mindfulness practice. Mm-hmm. If those seem too like over the top for people, I'm serious. I was talking to my buddy Mike this morning. He goes, I went to bed at 8 o'clock last night. And like, isn't it funny? Like, when we're kids, we're like, I don't want to go to bed.
Oh, I know.
Now we're adults, we're like, oh my God, I went to bed at 8 o'clock. So good.
Oh my God. I used to bug out. I'd be like walking around like a zombie, like, I'm not going to bed. Not going to do it. Now I'm like, maybe I need a nap.
Right. So, like, you know, like, how are you going to just like pamper yourself for just a moment? That's it. I mean, that's just it. How do we get a little bit of you out of your head and back into the things that make the most difference for you?
Yeah.
I don't know. How would that work for you? I mean, you know, like, I don't want to be like talking in platitudes saying you should do this, you should do this. For me, it was drinking water, right? You know, that created momentum. I mean, what do you think of all that?
I've experienced quite a bit of death, unfortunately. And people that I really, really loved and I was very close to. I guess each time it was really different. It's hard for me to put myself in the shoes of somebody that's losing somebody to COVID-19. I feel like there's a community out there of people that are losing loved ones left and right. So I feel like that would be kind of a tragic, but tragically beautiful connection between people. For me, I went through one of the deaths and I didn't tell anyone. I had all my clients. I was seeing clients. I couldn't stay home. I just couldn't, because that just made me cry. So I just didn't tell any clients for about 6 months. I told my staff. I swore them to secrecy back when I had a staff. I know that they thought I was a weirdo. Now I don't think I would handle it that way. I would try to embrace the pain. I think I would still go towards the highest quality chocolate truffles ever.
Oh, for sure.
And have at least one per day, at least. But I think I would start to reach out to people that didn't already exist. I would create sort of like a forum for people so that we could all get together and just talk about it, because a lot of people can't have funerals. Nobody in my family in Italy has passed away, but we've seen a lot of stuff in Italy about their loved ones. In Iran, the way they're doing the mass graves, this is a really, really big deal. I know somebody who knows somebody who builds the coolers for the inside of the 18-wheeler trucks. I know a lot of people think that this is just a hoax or whatever, but for the people that are actually dealing with it, it's definitely not a hoax. I have a friend who I've mentioned before who is a nurse, and she actually got COVID-19. She survived it, but she's still dealing with the repercussions of that. But if I had lost her, and she was in New York, I wouldn't be able to go to her funeral. I would have had to start or join a Zoom funeral, which I've heard about. It's just crazy. I'm really glad that we're talking about the positive things that are coming out of this. I guess we shouldn't really dwell on the downsides, but I feel like even if you can't be with the ones that you love, at least we have now Google Meet, we have Zoom, we have Skype, we have all these ways to really connect and bond. Yeah. And people I've heard are starting to pick up the phone again. I grew up with a phone attached to my ear, and I had a big long cord, nobody even.
Big one that was right around. Would it spin? It would be all tangled. You'd have to
I had this honey-do list. My mom gave me this awful list. It had little bees on it, and it had honey-do this, honey-do that. And one of the honey-dos was unravel the phone cord.
I was really fortunate at the top of this, when everything started shutting down, to really connect with someone and have a really amazing COVID romance. Come back to the city and are figuring things out. And so this is really the first time in the last couple of weeks where I've really had to just be by myself. Now I work by myself, I work from home. I'm also a very social person, right? I used to work in corporate. I used to work in offices. I do like people, right? And I get, good positive energy from things. Not being able to spend time with people, having just quiet time. I've been cherishing that as well, and figuring out what it means to be social in a time of this period. I'm telling you, at least for the moment, I have been tearing up my phone. I've been calling people that I haven't talked to in forever.
So fun.
One of my friends picked up the phone and he was like, "Dave?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "I haven't heard from you in probably a year, right?"
No, I love it. I think it's been really fun.
I haven't felt as good just walking around because you can't see people's faces. So when you're covered up, underneath I'm smiling, but
thinking that there's I'm sure somebody's coming out with it. I don't need to come out with this, but I was thinking about I even wear gloves, a little glove that says hi, so that you start waving to people again.
That's a great idea. Just hi. I can put that on my hand.
Totally. Or we just say, through the mask. The thing is nodding. When I grew up, we always nodded. We always said hello. Now, if I nod here in San Francisco, people think, "Oh my God, where is she from?"
Yeah, we both grew up in DC.
Exactly. And there were a lot of tourists there as well. I guess my first 20 years, we would nod and say hello. And then after that, it changed, and we went to just looking straight ahead. But yeah, so now I'm starting to do the nod.
I love the idea of putting hi on a glove or on my hand. I'm just going to draw it on my hand.
Yeah. The other thing is, somebody told me the other day that someone's coming out with masks, because I was like, wouldn't it be cool if we could get a picture of our mask? Hi. If we could get our own face, our smile on the mask, and just walk around with a nice smile, because it's so depressing. You're walking by like 5 people and we're all like, I mean, it looks like they don't care about you.
Right.
Like, and it looks like I don't care about them. But in fact, I actually do. And I would love to run up and grab them and just give them a big hug, but I would never do that. When you said going back to dancing and all the positive things that have come out of other things like the Roaring 20, my God, can we start doing some cool, like some new crazy dance thing when this is over? Just like coming out party.
2020 is just going to be a weird fucking year, right? Let's put it aside and say, okay, like 2021, let's just like reset then. But 2020 right now is like, just chill. That's my reality. All of humanity has always gone through seasons. We go through seasons every year, right? We go through winter, spring, summer, and fall, right? This is really our winter. Hunker down, plan, replan, do your thing, reinvent, rethink. Every person that I've met that has been in a position with I don't know what I'm going to do, when they take like a pause and a breath, they're like, oh, I can do this. They're amazing, right? You know, it's like, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. You know how good the speaking profession is right now? It's terrible. Like, I took a huge hit to my income. Huge hit, right? So it's like, okay, so what am I going to do in order to like reset, shift? What am I going to be working on? How am I going to, and the other speakers that I know, we all did the same thing. It's like, okay, how can we support each other? What is this going to mean? What is this going to be? We're not just dumb monkeys, we're monkey problem solvers. And I'm like, you know, just having the space and the time and the moment to just say, okay, here's where I'm at. This is what I got control over. This is what I'm going to do. And what I can do is,
You could do a virtual TED Talk, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like, there's all sorts of virtual stuff. There's all sorts of, and not until like industry comes back and association or conventions and meetings come back. But those are optional and it's going to take a while, right? Like, you're supposed to be in Italy right now, yeah?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I will say 2 things about you, Shelley. One, you knew about this entire crisis way before anybody else. You and I were talking in person in January, and I was like, it's just a bad flu. And you're like, no, it's not. And I'm like, bah, ha, ha. And you're like, no, it really isn't. Like, we're starting to like figure out our world. I'm like, nah, everything's fine. And you're like, just watch. I think 3 weeks later, I texted you and I said, I am so sorry. You were 100% right. I was 100% wrong. This is not the flu. This is like for realsies. And you saw it from a million miles away with your husband. So thank you, because you were the crazy person for like 2 seconds. And then you were like the smartest person in the room because you saw it from 1,000 miles away. So thank you for that. You know, that was a really big deal and I appreciate it.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you saying that. I was a bit kind of ashamed. It was really bizarre, but the look I would get, there would be a little smirk that would cross people's face or a little eyebrow furrow.
Please.
If I would say something, yeah. And I was like, oh God, this is a really big deal. You need to stock up on some food.
It's a really big friggin' deal. And you know what? Actually,
I have to say, I never hoarded toilet paper. I didn't. I just ordered enough for what I needed.
That's the weirdest thing. Like, I was talking to friends of mine. I said, what's the weirdest stuff that has been out of stock? For me, it was, I've heard of these soda streams? Like these, like, like you make like I can't get the canisters for them. I can't get replacements for it, nothing, right? Like, and I've tried, it's like, for whatever reason, it's like, it's up and out, and then fine. Yeah. One of my friends, he said he can't get flour.
Bakers.
Like, everybody's turned into bakers. And I'm like, I'm not a huge baker, but he's like, you can't find flour anywhere. I'm like, really? I'm like, yeah, you can't find flour. And then it was like, I will tell you, it was a happy day for me today because I found paper towels. I walked into the store and there was actually paper towels. I have been trying for weeks to get paper towels and I don't need a lot of paper towels. I needed 1 roll and I got 1 roll. That's all I needed because I just don't go through a lot of paper towels.
Right.
I was down to like 4, like I was like tearing off the little bit of like the last one. And like, I'm not going to use it to wipe my counter. That's for this. But if I needed to like wick bacon or something, I'm totally using a paper towel.
Well, just as like a funny note, I told you that it's my anniversary, or you told me happy anniversary. And the that we ordered our food from is 54 Mint here at Jesse Plaza in San Francisco. They had all these different options for if you want your pasta pre-made or if you want to have a pasta kit. And they had this one called the pasta kit plus a roll of toilet paper. So I was like, I got two. So I'm assuming we each get a roll of toilet paper tonight when we make our pasta. So that means we have to boil it ourselves. But I was like, bing, done.
Like people are like, yeah, go have your small parties and get-togethers. People aren't going to bring wine. They're going to bring toilet paper.
I totally brought a roll.
Oh.
You know how I have my skincare products and I wrap everything in yellow tissue?
Yeah.
Well, I had to go somewhere to pick up my groceries. And I wanted to give him a tip as a joke. He's a good friend of mine. But I took a roll of toilet paper and I wrapped it up like you would find in a hotel in the yellow thing. And I said, here's your tip. Thanks so much for my groceries. And he was like, oh my God, toilet paper.
Yay!
It's a hot commodity. Anyway, I think my fancy anniversary dinner is coming soon. So I better roll out of here. But I really appreciate you coming on and talking with all of us about this. It's really, really good information. And before we go, I want you to tell people about the book that you've been writing. I don't even know if you finished it. We haven't gotten to catch up.
I am working furiously on it. My editor is all excited about it. I'm excited about it. It's Midlife Magic. It's all about transform the crisis of midlife into magic. I
definitely need that, but I might be over.
No.
Over the hill, no?
We can
on the way down.
Benefit from the changes. And what it is it's about the changes in thinking. I believe that this time of our life is important to change how we think so that we live the very best next half of our lives. It's never too late nor too early to do that. So how do we change how we think in order to live this very great best next of our lives? Okay.
Well, actually, before we go, I will never forget, I had an aunt. She's a grand aunt. I don't know if that's what you say, but she was my grandfather's sister. Yeah. But she met the love of her life when she was 94, I want to say.
My father met his love of his life when he was 87.
Yeah.
Like he was late in life, yeah.
Yeah, they had already had husbands and wives.
Right, yeah, sure.
They ended up in this community home. It was a beautiful place.
It gives me hope.
Oh my God. And they had the best time. I never saw her again because she was just with him. It was like that, fresh relationship, love and lust. And I never saw her again after she met him. But it was a beautiful relationship, beautiful story. But anyway, thank you so much. I'm going to post everything on my IGTV so that people can click to your website. But it's limitless. Can you speak that out just in case?
It's right behind me, limitl.es.
.es, that's right.
If you have trouble with that, just go to davidcc.com. That's easy. It'll just redirect it.
Okay. And I'm Shelley from Shelley Skincare, and thank you so much for tuning in today. This has just been a lot of fun. It's a way for me to connect with my clients, my friends, people I love, and hopefully you'll visit my website, shelleyskincare.com. I will hopefully be posting this on IGTV and my YouTube channel, and I will see you in the next one. Ciao. Bye, Dave.
Thanks, Shelley.